All right, so we're in 3C.6, dividing polynomials. The goal here is to understand that the steps that you learned in the elementary school to do long division are basically the same steps here. It just looks a little different because it's a polynomial, not a integer that we're dividing, okay? So let's review how to divide from elementary. In elementary, when you were given the problem, let me write it how it would have started. So your teacher would have said 277 divided by 12 equals what? Does that ring a bell? Being able to do that, okay? Then your teacher would have said, okay, now we're going to put this number goes in the house, this number goes outside. Still with me? Bringing up some third and fourth grade energy before COVID happened, yeah? All right, so once it's in there, now you're going to go piece by piece. So what you guys learned was long division by partial division. So you're asking yourself first, can 12 divide into quote unquote 2? And the answer is no. But can 12 divide into 27? Yes. 12 can divide into 27 up to 2 times, correct? So up to 2 times. So after you would do the division, you would then, you would multiply 12 times 2, and that gives us 24, and then you would subtract, right? After you subtract, you get a remainder. That remainder was a 3, and then you would bring down the 7. Now you start it all over again. Can 12 go into 37? Yes, 12 can go into 37. How many times does 12 go into 37? 3 times, right? And then we would multiply 12 times 3. And 12 times 3 is 36. And then we subtract, right? And then we got down to 1. Well, 12 can't go to 1, and there's nothing else to bring down. If you paid attention during COVID 5th grade, if that was your error, then you guys learned how to add a decimal on by putting a decimal, putting a 0, and then you continue to divide to get an approximate decimal value, right? If you paid attention there. I know with time, it's crazy to think that that time existed, but it did, okay? But in 3rd grade, you were left with this R. So your answer here would be 12, and it had remainder of 1. Y'all remember writing that? Ringing some bells? Okay. The goal was at the end of 5th grade, instead of writing it as a remainder of 1, you should write it as a fraction. So by the end of 5th grade, you should have been writing as 12 with 1 out of 12. Oh, I wrote 20. Oh, yes. Thank you. You know, I just wanted to make sure you were paying attention. That's it. That's all I was doing. It is 23 and 23. And then by the end of 5th grade, you should have been, instead of writing the R, you should have been writing it as a fraction or as an approximate decimal value. Okay. So as a fraction, I have 1 out of 12, which was my original divisor remaining. Yes. Any of this is like, oh, I've done this before. Oh my God. Okay. Yes, you have, I promise. Or you should have. So we had our dividend, our divisor, our quotient, and our remainder. These words are going to stay the same for Algebra 2. The only difference is that instead of having integers that we're dividing, we now have polynomials. The process is still going to be the same. So we're going to look at the polynomial here, and we're going to talk about how they're still the same. The difference is that instead of using the entire polynomial, we're only using its leading term, okay? So you're still asking, can x divide into 2x squared? And the answer is yes. X divides into 2x squared 2x times. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So we get 2x. After we divide, we then multiply. So you have 2x times 2, which makes 2x squared plus 4x. What do we do after we multiplied? We subtracted. Guess what we're going to do here? We're going to still subtract. When you subtract a polynomial, it's just changing its signs. And what happens here is that it's going to cancel out. And now I'm left with 7x plus negative 4x, which makes 3x. And then we bring down. And we repeat. Does x divide into 3x? And the answer is yes. X divides into 3x 3 times. So we get 2x plus 3. We're going to multiply 3 times x, multiply 3 times 2, and we get 3x plus 6. After we multiply, we then subtract. When we subtract, that's going to change the sign of everything. If we don't subtract, then we don't get to cancel out. Notice that this is going to cancel out, and we're left with 7 plus negative 6, which is 1. So our remainder is 1. So our solution here is 2x plus 3 with a remainder of 1. Okay, that's our baby solution. Our big girl solution would be 2x plus 3 plus 1 out of our divisor, which was x plus 2. Do you see that the process is the same? It just looks different. Okay. My third grade teacher, I don't know if your third grade teacher did it or not, but my third grade teacher had an acronym for us dividing. And that acronym was, does McDonald's sell burgers? Okay. What that stands for is the process that you go through when you're doing long division. And that process is the D stands for we divide. We divide the leading value first. Then we multiply by the quotient. Then we subtract. And then we bring down and repeat. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Okay. Did any other teacher have a catchy way or say anything? Does divide, multiply, subtract, bring down at least ring a bell? Yeah? No? Yes? Well, this was the 90s. So McDonald's was really big. The original arches there. And it stuck with me from third grade. Does McDonald's sell burgers? Does McDonald's sell burgers? That's how we knew we were doing long division. All right. So how does this change from with a polynomial? Your solution, it's going to be your divisor times your quotient plus your remainder. That's how we're writing it. So our solution would be our divisor times our quotient plus our remainder. And because that is our solution, that means that if I'm unsure if I got it right, guess what I can do? I can distribute to check. So if I did all the math and I'm like, oh man, am I right? Well, I would write it out and then I would distribute to check. And if it comes back to the original dividend by polynomial, then I know I did it correct. Okay. All right. Are y'all ready to dive in and just work its way out? I was way nicer to you guys than in the past. And I made y'all's notes actually full size so you can have plenty of room to write instead of making it the quarter. That's why they're big, because I was nicer this year. I'd be trying to save paper, but I realized that I wasn't leaving enough space, and it was terrible. All right, so before we get started, let's go over our steps. So we want to make sure the polynomials are in standard form. By in standard form, we need to make sure that all powers are present. So we need to make sure that it has a to the x to the n plus b to the x n minus 1 plus c to the x n minus 2, and on and on and on. That means that every term has to be present. If I am missing any of these variable terms, I put a 0 in its place. Okay, so if I'm missing anything, I have to put a 0 in its place. Then we're going to divide. So we're going to start with the D. We're going to divide the first term of the dividend by the first term of the divisor. Okay, and that result goes on the quotient line. After that, we then are going to multiply. We're going to multiply the divisor by the answer, aka our quotient. That's the answer to a division problem is called the quotient. We're going to put that below the product, below the dividend. And then we're going to subtract. When you're subtracting polynomials, just means that you're changing the signs of each term. So you're just going to change the signs. And this should have been bring down and repeat. I don't know why I wrote repeat, but we're going to bring down and repeat. So that's our B. Does McDonald's sell burgers? Okay. Until we no longer can go. And then what's left is called our remainder. Okay. And then your answer would be your divisor times your quotient plus your remainder. So we would have our divisor times our quotient plus our remainder is our answer. And that is the answer. That's our goal. Are y'all ready for like super geniuses? I don't know. I felt like when I learned this in 10th grade, I was like, I'm a genius. Like, I don't know why. This was like the first time that I ever had to show a lot of work in mathematics. And I was like, oh, This is so pretty and glorious. I know I may sound crazy. I might be. It's okay. All right, so let's talk about what we have here. So we are dividing 4x to the third plus 3x squared minus 20x minus 40 by x squared minus 5. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is make sure that our dividend, which this is our dividend, our p of x, has all of its powers, all of its terms. It has x to the third, x squared, x, and none. So that one's good to go. And then we're going to check our divisor. This is our divisor, our dx. Our divisor is missing a middle piece. It's missing its single x, right? So when we write it out, we're going to have to put a 0 in for that. So we're going to write our things. So we have x squared plus 0x minus 5. And notice that we had to put this guy in because he was missing. Does adding 0 to anything change anything? Nope, it does not. It just makes it so that I can do the division. Got it? And then we're going to draw our division house and put what goes under. So we have 4x to the third plus 3x squared minus 20x minus 46. Okay? At this time, I'm going to recommend if you have a second color to use, it helps so you can track which pieces you're on. So if you have a second color or second object to write with, so like if you're writing in pencil, maybe you have a pen or something, it just helps you track to see what stage you're on and where you're at in the problem. So this was step 1. Step 1 is done. So I'm going to change my color. And now we're going to do step 2. Step 2 says that you're going to start with your leading terms. So you're going to divide your leading terms. So my leading terms are x squared and 4x cubed. I'm comfortable with dividing in my head. If you're not comfortable with dividing in your head, you should write it down. So I'm going to write divide, my D. I have 4x cubed divided by x squared. So again, this is in my brain. And I know 4x cubed divided by x squared equals what? 4 divided by 1 is 4. X cubed divided by x squared means I'm subtracting their power. So 3 minus 2 is 1. So that's why it's 4x. So the first piece of my quotient is 4x. Are y'all with me? Okay. So step 2 is done. Now we're going to go on to step 3. Step 3 is to multiply. Does McDonald's sell burgers? Now you're going to multiply your quotient times your divisor. So we're multiplying our quotient, which is 4x, times our divisor, which is x squared, plus 0x minus 5. This is just distribution, correct? So I distribute 4x times x squared is 4x to the third. 4x times 0x is 0x squared. And 4x times negative 5 is going to give me negative 20x. Still with me? Okay, our fourth step is to subtract. So our fourth step is to subtract. When we're subtracting, that means we're changing the signs of each term. Does that make sense? So now we're on to subtraction. So it becomes negative 4x cubed minus 0x squared plus 20x. And we subtract and combine. These are going to cancel out. I have 3x squared minus 0x squared, which gives me 3x squared. I have negative 20x plus 20x, which gives me 0x. Step 5 is to bring down and repeat. So we're going to bring down negative 46, and we're going to repeat the process. You're going to repeat as long as the degree of your remainder is equal to or greater than the degree of your divisor. All right, so we're going to repeat the steps again. So we have 3x squared divided by x squared. If I can't do it in my head, what should I do? Write it out. So we have 3x squared divided by x squared. So 3 divided by 1 is 3. X squared divided by x squared is going to do what? It just becomes 3 because those are going to cancel out. They could become 1. Casper the Friendly Ghost. So the next piece of my quotient is going to be plus 3. After we divide, we then are going to multiply. Okay? So you're going to multiply your quotient times your divisor. So your quotient times your divisor. So 3 times x squared plus 0x minus 5. We distribute. 3 times x squared is 3x squared. 3 times 0x is 0x. And 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. After we multiply, we then are going to subtract. And what does subtraction mean we're doing? Subtraction means we are changing the signs and combining, okay? When we're subtracting, we're changing the signs. So if it's positive, it becomes a negative. If it's negative, it becomes a positive. So this becomes 3x squared minus 0x plus 15. And we combine, you cancel, and we're left with negative 31. And I stop, and that's because the degree of my remainder is less than the degree of my divisor. So my solution is, so the answer would be 4x plus 3. I'm sorry, don't write that. I want to write it in a pattern so you can remember. So our solution is going to always be your original divisor times your quotient plus your remainder. Okay? So our original divisor was what? X squared minus 5. So we have x squared minus 5 times our quotient. And what was our quotient? 4x plus 3 plus our remainder. And our remainder is negative 31. And that would be your answer. Okay? Remember I said you can always check yourself. So if you're unsure, like, man, I don't think I did that right, then you're going to check yourself. I'm going to model checking ourselves using the box method just for the sake of space. So using the box method to check myself, I have x squared and negative 5. I have 4x and a positive 3. Remember, for the box method, you're just filling in. So 4x times x squared gives me 4x to the third. 4x times negative 5 gives me negative 20x. 3 times x squared gives me 3x squared. And 3 times negative 5 gives me negative 15. So from the box, I have 4x cubed plus 3x squared minus 20x minus 15. And then I have my remainder, which is minus 31. Does that make negative 46? And is that what my original polynomial was? So what does that tell me? I'm a genius. I did it. Okay. With division, you check it with multiplication because they are inverse operations of each other. How we feel? Do you see how, like, in 10th grade, I was a nerd who was so excited about the amount of space it took in my notebook? I was. I wrote on every line so that I would make sure I took up a lot of notebook space. Why? Because 15-year-old me thought that was cool. I did. Yep. I did. I did it while y'all were finishing your notebooks. But thank you for reminding me. Don't forget to do that again. All right. Y'all hate it? It's tedious, but is it terrible? Are you ready to try another one? All right, let's try another one. I'm going slow so that you can ask me questions. So please, please, please do not be afraid to stop me. All right. So this is going to be our last one that we do together. And then you're going to do one by yourself. Got it? All right. So the first step is to make sure that we have all of our parts and our problem. So looking, we have our P of X, 3x cubed minus 8x squared minus 21x and plus 56. Is that one good to go? Yes. We have our D of X, our divisor. Is our divisor good to go? No, our divisor is missing its X. So when I write it, I got to make sure I include its X. So we have X squared plus 0x minus 7 divided into, 3x cubed minus 8x squared minus 21x plus 56. Okay, I'm deliberately not showing you what I'm doing so that you would feel confident in going ahead or trying to do as much of it on your own, okay? All right, so we've set it up. That's step one. Step two is we start to do what? We divide. We're going to do our divide. So we have our leading terms divided. 3x cubed divided by x squared. And again, if I can't do it in my head, what should I do? Write it out. It is your notes, your work. No one cares what you write there. So you have 3x cubed divided by x squared. That's going to give you 3x. So the first piece of our quotient is 3x. After we divide, does McDonald's sell burgers? We're on our M. We're going to multiply our quotient times our divisor. So we have 3x times x squared plus 0x minus 7. Again, if you can do it mentally, what should you do? Do it mentally. If not, write it out. So we're going to distribute. And we get 3x cubed plus 0x squared minus 7x. Okay, what do we do after M? Oh, it's 21. Good call, guys. Good call. I don't know how I'd say 21. It was the pen who did it. The pen decided, not me. You know, sometimes it's got a mind of its own. All right, after we multiply, we then do what? Subtract. And subtracting polynomials being we are changing signs and combining. So that means we're going to have a negative 3x cubed, a negative 0x squared, a positive 21x. And combine, this cancels out. We're left with negative 8x squared. We're left with 0x. And then after we subtract, we're going to bring it on down and repeat, if possible. Can we repeat? We can. So now we have negative 8x squared divided by x squared. So again, if I can't do it in my head, I'm going to write it out. Negative 8x squared divided by x squared. What does that give me? What kind of 8? A negative 8. So the next piece of my quotient would be minus 8. After we divide, we're then going to, the x squareds are going to do what? Have an x squared in the numerator and an x squared in the denominator, so they cancel out. We're going to multiply. So we have negative 8 times x squared plus 0x minus 7. And we're going to distribute. And we get negative 8x squared plus 0x. A negative times a negative is a positive. Plus 56. All right. What's our next step? Does McDonald's sell? So the S is subtract and combine. Subtract means we're going to change signs and combine. So our negative 8x becomes a positive. Our 0 doesn't really matter, but our positive 56 becomes a negative 56. And what happens here? They all cancel out. We have no remainder. Yay! What that means is that these are the perfect factors for this number, right? Just like anytime you divide, that means they are perfect factors. So our solution, remember your solution is your divisor times your quotient plus your remainder. Oh, do we have a remainder to worry about? Nope, we don't. So what was our original divisor? X squared minus 7. And what was our quotient? 3x minus 8. And if I'm not confident in what this is, or if I did it right, what should I do? The box method to check, right? I'm fairly confident that we're geniuses. So if you would like to practice the box method, you can. But I believe we're geniuses. How are we feeling? Okay. All right. Guess whose turn it is? It's yours. Okay. So you're going to try. We're going to set it up together, and then you're going to go through the process. Got it? All right. So let's go step 1 first. Step 1 is to make sure that our polynomial and our divisor polynomial are both in standard form, meaning that all are present. Looking at our polynomial, it's missing some stuff, right? Because it goes from 4 to 2. What's missing between 4 and 2? Your 3. So we need to put a 0. And then what's missing between x squared and no x? Plus 0x. And then on this one, we have 4x plus 2. What's missing here? 4x squared plus 2. What are we missing? The 0x. So our setup should look like this. We should have 4x squared plus 0x plus 2 divided by 4x to the 4th plus 0x to the 3rd plus 14x squared plus 0x plus 12. So this one I had a lot of fillers. Does adding the fillers change the process? Nope. Still going to be, does McDonald's sell burgers? Does McDonald's sell burgers? So it's time for you to divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, repeat. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, repeat. And if all said and done, check yourself. So we're going to make this the C. And chicken nuggets? That's the check. Get it? Okay. All right. I'm going to give y'all 5 minutes. Go. And he's asleep. All right. Let's see how we did, my friends. Okay. So on the first part, you have 4x to the 4th divided by 4x squared. That should have given you x squared. How we do? After we divide, we then multiply. So we're doing x squared times 4x squared, which gives us 4x to the 4th. X squared times 0x, which gives us 0x cubed. X squared times 2, which gives us 2x squared. After we multiply, we then subtract, which means that we're changing the signs and combining. So I change my signs, and I get down to 12x squared. How we do? After we do that, we're going to bring down all terms that we need. If I just bring down the 0x, does that satisfy what I need? No. So I had to bring down also the 12. Did we do that? Okay. So now we repeat again. So we have 12x squared divided by 4x squared. What is 12x squared divided by 4x squared? That's going to give us 3, right? 12 divided by 4 is 3. X squared and x squared are going to cancel out. Now we're going to multiply. So we have 3 times 4x squared, 3 times 0x, and 3 times 2. So that gives us 12x squared plus 0x plus 6. After we multiply, we then are going to subtract. Subtracting means we're changing the signs and combining. And we're left with positive 6. So our solution should be our original divisor. What was our original divisor? 4x squared plus 2 times our quotient, and our quotient is x squared plus 3 plus our remainder, and our remainder is 6. So your answer should have been this. So this was our quotient, and this was our remainder. And if I didn't feel good about my answer, what should I do to check? Do the box method and make sure to add on your remainder. Okay? All right, so that concludes part A. Do you see the difference with me doing my mental work instead of it being written out? Okay? If you have to keep writing out, please keep writing out. You are not expected to have to be able to do it completely mental. All right? I just wanted to show you what it looks like if you were to not have the mental part written down.